All right, guys. Well, welcome to another exciting episode of the Freedom Friday podcast. I am especially excited today because we get to have one of the best people that I've met in business in the last few years. And I am so honored that she tore herself away from her horrendously busy schedule right now to actually sit down with me here to be able to have this interview. And I gotta tell you guys, when I tell you she is a light in the business world, it's a bit of an understatement because I had the pleasure of meeting her early in 2023. And let me tell you something, almost 12 months to the day, I can say, standing here or sitting here, right, that it was one of the best decisions I've made with deciding to join her on the journey that she is on, and the growth that I have seen in her over the last 11 and a half months is absolutely mind blowing. So it gives me the honor and the privilege and the pleasure to present to you guys none other than Michelle O'Neill, founder of the Digital Growth Community. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here with you, my friend.
Yeah, so um, we have been planning to do this for quite some time now. Because I
Yes.
remember, I think it was like 9 months ago we talked about doing it, and fun fact is that among so many things we're going to talk about today is one of the things that's going to be coming here shortly for you, Michelle, is your own podcast, right? But it's going to be inside the community, right? So
Yes.
I'm super excited of so many things that's going to be coming here and at the time of the recording, this is in March. So can you talk to us a little bit about March Madness and what that's about? And then we're gonna go into some background about you. But let's talk a little March Madness real quick if we can.
What do you want to talk about it? Which part?
So so what was your inspiration for March Madness and why what of all the things you've done in the last 17 months, what motivated you to kind of switch gears and for the next series that you're going to be doing, this has become a movement over the last few weeks, not just the
Right.
launch of another 90-day series, but
Mhm.
it's going to come into March Madness and talk about a little bit about why the mindset of parlaying off of the concept of March Madness and this big change that's coming in your life and business. Can you talk a little bit about
Well,
that?
March is always a great month, right? Because it just in business, it is a great month for businesses. And, we had a little hiccup this year with, the products I've been promoting. And
Hmm.
not that the products are bad, they're actually really good. I learned everything through the products, but to me, customer service is really important. And I
Hmm.
know my vision, I know where we are going. And if we don't have a good customer service back there, it's just going to cause friction for people, right? And so I
Exactly.
wanted to make sure that people had the best experience ever in an online business. So I thought, you know what, March Madness, we're going to launch it in March. So there
Awesome.
we go.
That's so good. So, the excitement is obviously palpable. And, people that are inside the community that have been working alongside you, myself included, have been looking forward to so much over the last 3 months. But let's take a look back before we go into what's coming, because I know people are excited because social media is all a buzz about what's going to be going on in the digital growth community. So let's take a look back here. What would you say got you started in business in the first place? So like where does Michelle O'Neill come from and how did she get into wanting to be a business owner, wanting to be an entrepreneur, wanting to do something different? Can you tell us a little bit more about that part of your journey?
Yeah, and I don't look at myself as any of that. I look at myself as a mom that just never wanted to miss any moments with her kids.
I love that.
And you need money. I need money to
Yes.
feed my kids, right? And so,
Yes.
I always had envisioned myself, that I would be a working mom. And when I was
Hmm.
pregnant with my first son, when I literally felt him kick for the first time, I was like, mm-mm, I will never put my kids in daycare. I will never
Yeah.
miss a moment. I will never get that phone call from a daycare provider that my son walked for the first time or talked for the first time. I will be there for all those moments. And, that was 30 years ago. So we didn't have
Hmm.
social media and we didn't have things like we have in today's world. It's so easy today for parents to really be home with their kids. They just don't know that, right? And that's kind of one of
Yeah.
my missions in today's world is how can I help parents see that they don't have to sacrifice?
Right.
And so I started a daycare out of my home. So I could never
Hmm.
miss a moment with my kids. And
Right.
I did that from, well, my son was born in 93. And I did that through 2001.
Hmm.
And so I did that for that long. And then I loved it because I was home with my kids, but I didn't
Hmm.
like it because my kids had to share me. And so
Right.
I started looking, and it was really crazy. I lived in Kansas City, Missouri at this time, and we went out to eat at this Mexican restaurant. And I grabbed this little mom magazine.
Hmm.
I just was looking through it, looking at the coupons, and it said the mom team. And I was like, what's
Mm.
this? And it was network marketing. And I called the number on it, and she was having an in-home
Hmm.
because you're talking, and I went to it and I decided
Yeah.
to do it. And, I was intrigued because it had all different products that I knew I could use and stuff. And so
Hmm.
I took off building my business. And that's when I learned structure equals freedom because I had to structure myself to be able to run a daycare and build this business. And I was able to, in 7 months, replace my income at my daycare. And so
Wow.
I gave them luckily I was a daycare provider for a lot of teachers. So the summer was
Hmm.
coming in a few months and I just told them I'm not going to come back. And
Hmm.
then I just started my network marketing journey. And that's what
Right.
I started doing that. And then it's a grind.
Yeah,
It
it
is
is.
a grind. And I did that, and it really provided wealth that I could be home with my kids. And then I about will be 16 years in on April Fool's Day. I got a divorce. So I was going
Wow.
through a divorce at that time. And I wasn't
Right.
making enough to be able to, provide for my family by myself. So I went back to work. At that time, luckily, all my kids were in either preschool or in school. So I didn't have as much guilt, but I still did. And
Hmm.
I hated every second of it, even though my kids were in school, because I was working a lot and shuffling a lot of hours and time.
Hmm.
And my daughter was placed in the hospital. And at that
Wow.
moment, I realized this is ridiculous. I'm worried about going back to work. I'm worried about my other kids. I'm worried about money. And all I should be worried about is being here with her. And that was a
Right.
really pivotal moment in my life. And that's when I went back into network marketing. And
Yeah.
luckily, it was with a brand new company. And so I kind of was able to burst with that and
Right.
make some really good money, enough money that not only was I able to quit my job, we were able to move so I could put my kids in the best schools in Kansas because that was important to me. And I was able to do that, but again, at a cost. And then I forgot
Yeah.
the reason why I didn't want to be in network marketing because it was a grind, but at least I was more available to my family. And then in 2022, I just couldn't do it anymore. The company changed the comp plan, and then all of a sudden, my income dropped, and I was tired at that point. But I'm
Yeah.
so grateful for the industry because I did learn a lot, and the main thing that I will learn is the power of consistency. And
Right.
I've been able to take that into digital marketing, and I was at a point in 2022 where I was going to get a job. But the only reason
Yeah.
I was that burned out and I just couldn't do it
Hmm.
anymore. But the reason why I didn't go get a job was because of I was also watching my grandchildren at that time and helping out. And so
Hmm.
yeah, that's where my journey started.
Awesome. Awesome. So so the time period where you you were running the daycare when, and by the way, thank you so much for your service. I have a special place for childcare providers and daycare providers because my wife is also a teacher, a childcare teacher. So Thank
Awesome.
you so much for your service because it is very needed in this
Yes.
world. Because if you think
Yes.
about it, every profession on planet Earth in history has been in front of a childcare teacher. So
That's
I
the
just want to
foundation.
put that in there. Yes,
That's the
exactly.
foundation. Yes. Yeah.
So, a lot of people, and I would like you to talk about this a little bit to kind of give the audience a kind of a picture that as a single mom, you mentioned you were going through a divorce at the time. How and this is just from a guy's perspective, right? But how do you handle going through not only a divorce, but how do you handle starting a business in that season of your life, even though it's being in network marketing, it's not like a traditional business model, but still there's a lot to take on. I myself have spent a number of years in network marketing, so I know how stressful it can be. The expectations of yourself, of your upline, of all these different things, learning a new skill set, doing something a little bit outside of your comfort zone. How did all that play together and you being able to have some early success in network marketing while going through what you were going through?
All 1000% mindset, because I will never forget that moment, how I felt when my daughter was in the hospital. I thought I had great health insurance, found out I didn't. It sucked everything I had out of savings to pay it. I mean, just that incident when she was in the hospital after my deductible and copay, it was still over 23,000 in medical debt.
Wow.
And I was paying over 1,100 a month for insurance.
Mhm.
And I'm like,
Wow.
what a scam. Health insurance is a scam, right? And
Li-
I just remember
Legit.
feeling that way. And I remember I was like, I will never feel this way again.
Right.
I don't care what I have to go through. I don't care how much sleep I lose. I will
Right.
never feel this way again. I will prepare myself differently, right? It just took me a little bit longer than I
Yeah.
thought that I could do it, but I knew I just never wanted to feel that way again. So at that point, nothing mattered. Everything just washed off of me. I just developed a skin like a rhinoceros. And I
Right.
was like, I never want to feel that way as a parent. And that was
Yeah.
everything. Hmm.
Definitely. And it's so funny that you mentioned that developing that thick skin because even in those days, like it's nowhere near what you go through in digital marketing and social media and stuff like that. But still developing that foundation of the understanding, having that mindset that you got to just let it wash off of you, like you say, and just push through. Like it doesn't matter what I
Hmm.
have to go through. What you see is not just the walk, but you see the goal that you're going after. And I think one of the most powerful things about what I've seen as far as I've known you is that you have always focused on what you're here to achieve of the many things that I've gotten to learn over the time that I know you, I have the pleasure of knowing you, and the kind of person you are, the kind of way that you operate when dealing with people, and how important it is for you to deliver for people. But you focus on what your goal is and not necessarily all the other stuff that comes with it. So can you tell me how important had that been for you to kind of in those tough spots because people have these fears or these irrational impressions of
Hmm.
can I get into business? Can I, even as I'm a father, I'm a husband, but also as a mom, as a woman getting into business, like
Hmm.
there's so much to continue to push through at that muck and that mire of getting into business yourself, and that having that thick skin is so necessary. Can you talk about a time that it got really rough, where it got hard to see the goal, but you still pushed through?
Well, one thing that, I always think about all the time is the fact that there's no money made in those emotions.
Hmm.
You can stay in those emotions. You can become the victim, of your circumstances, but there's no money made in that. There's no money made in fear. And I cannot allow what anybody else thinks to define me because there's no money. They're not paying my bills, right? And so I
Exactly.
just really had to learn that, like, there is no money made in those emotions. There's no money made in me worried about what's not happening. The money's
Right.
made in creating that vision and making it happen, because really, truly, anything is possible. And I
Right.
truly believe that.
Yes, I believe that too.
Hmm.
So let's pivot to the corporate call that you had, right?
Hmm.
You've built to where you have been up to this point. You prepped your team, and because you're in network marketing, so you prepped your team, guys. Don't worry, this is going to be one of the best calls that we're going to have, and the expectation, right? Can you talk a little bit about before you walked into that meeting? What was your mindset?
Well, it was, it's so funny because a lot of people didn't like COVID, right? It actually was really cool for me because I didn't have to go to in-homes anymore.
Right.
So it literally got me home, and I
Right.
didn't have to leave my house to build my business. And I actually was making really good money during that time because I could just do Zooms, like
Right.
every day, and we could get on Zooms. And so we were thinking they were going to be launching something to show how to market more online. Like we
Hmm.
really thought that because they saw the growth of us doing webinars and things like that, right? And so we really thought it was going to be that they were going to come out
Yeah.
with some type of online training that we could implement. And
Right.
so we just had a really, weird expectation. And then we found out it was that they were getting rid of the bonus,
Right.
and that changed everything. And
Yeah.
I felt like I was punched in the stomach, but I had the guilt because I was like, oh my gosh, all these people had depended on me and believed on me because we were just coming with the momentum. And so all of a sudden, all these people that believed in me and, joined my team, all of a sudden we had to let them know that, oh, that bonus that I told you about
Right.
is gone.
It's no
That's
longer
really
a
the reason
thing.
why most people bought. And so that
Yeah.
at that point though, I mean, I look back now and I'm like, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Like I really want to just thank them
Yeah.
because that was the wake up call I needed to realize I was a contractor for them
Yeah.
and I had zero control. And I don't know why it never really hit me before, but I didn't have control. They say you can be your own boss. No, 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 no. I'm a contractor for you. I can make
Right.
money, but I'm a contractor. And so that was a big wake up call for me. But I was scared to death. I had no idea what I was going to do. All I knew is I was done with network marketing.
Hmm.
That's all I knew. And I had no idea what I was going to do. It was a super scary point in my life, mostly because it was such a scary point of what I was going to do. And then, my son's excited because he's getting all of these, people wanting him to go to colleges. And then I'm having to drive him to these places to go to colleges. So luckily
Hmm.
they covered most of it. And,
Right.
it was scary because I was like, I'm not going to, at this part in my life, I'm not going to be, we can't afford that, mom.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be that mom. And so it was a really scary point, but I couldn't stay there. I couldn't live in that
Exactly.
moment. I had to be the solution. I couldn't think about the problem. I had to find that solution. And things just happen for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So,
I believe that God allows us to go through things, one, because he loves us, and two, because he wants and has something better for
mhm,
us.
mhm,
And you could think about the disappointment, of having the rug pulled out from under you, because it's literally the feeling that you have. And I remember,
mhm,
for me, back in, I think it was 2019, I think it's 2019, almost into 2020, where, we know what happened then with the pandemic and everything like that. um I was also in an opportunity that was doing a lot of great things and helping people, but also they decided, as you eloquently put it in so many videos of yours, that they changed the comp plan because it was too loose, right? And for someone to be able to unilaterally decide that,
yeah,
oh, we're giving you too much,
right.
so let's not do that anymore because we're giving you too much, even though you're promoting what we have. So
Yeah,
let's
after
not
we
think
created
about that.
momentum for them, after we
Exactly.
created momentum for them and brought them a lot of business and they decided that was too loose. Yeah.
Exactly. So I went through the same thing in
Wild.
2019, and it put us all in a dark place,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It put us all in a dark place. And I know all too well about that place, because it's like, okay, so I've been doing this for so long. It's like, what do I do now? So I
Mm-hmm.
100% understand that, you know, it was a definitely scary time to be told that you no longer have control of your income.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I admired so much about this part of your journey is that, still being a single mom, still being, someone that is bound to help people, and your motivation is so much about the people that you help and the people that you make a difference for, that being as heartbreaking as it was to tell people that bad news, but to find your way back to hope again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Find your way to, you know, believe that things will change, right? And even however slightly, to get to that moment where you realize, okay, things will be different. I just don't know how yet. And I think for most people, that's one of the scariest parts, is the unknown, right?
What's really interesting about that though, because I didn't know what I was going to do. Honestly, I didn't, but I cared more about these people that had believed in me. And
Mhm.
the fact that all of it, like I just hated the fact that I had to disappoint them. And
Yeah,
it was not in my control.
yeah,
And I was so worried about that, but inside I was scared to death because I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do
yeah,
because I have to have money.
yeah,
I don't get child support. I have car payments for me, car payments for my kids. I have a house pay. I had everything on me, that I had that pressure. And it was like,
yeah,
just like that, somebody could take it away. It's really no
yeah.
different than, honestly, it's almost no different than, can't make this stuff up. Look, a customer just came in.
So
See the
let
stripe? There
let
you
let's
go.
let's take a second and look at that little micro moment there. So for the uninitiated, I want you to tell them what just happened, real
Oh
quick.
gosh.
For the uninitiated, this that's listening or watching this right now, tell them what exactly happened just now.
I just literally got the ding. You can see the Stripe logo, which means I just got a customer. So I
Yeah,
went from grinding in network marketing to have to try to find customers, to have to get on the phone with them, follow up with them, and to fully automated business to where I do not have to get on the phone with anybody to buy. I don't have to follow up with them. It just comes in all through my automations, and it's pretty awesome. I
that
love
is next level. And that's the power of what we have in this age, and social media and having automation and all these different things. But we'll get to that in a minute, guys. But I promise you, we're gonna get to that good part here. But that is so awesome. So congratulations on that just happening. That's wild right now. We're recording and that goes off. So that's awesome. I love
And it's
that so
already been a
much.
really, really, really good day. So the fact that they're still
Yes.
coming in, it's like, yes.
Yes. So, and we're definitely going to talk about that here.
Yeah.
But the
And so,
the
yeah,
thing
that's where
about,
I
go
was. I
ahead.
just was like, I
Mhm.
didn't, it was tough because I was having to show up for other people, even though I was crushed inside. And so that taught me a
Mm,
lot in life that you're capable of more than you give yourself credit for. Because inside, I just wanted to go to my room and crawl up in a ball and cry.
yeah.
And I wanted to be the victim. I wanted to feel sorry for myself. I wanted to be angry. I wanted to be mad, but I had to show up for other people and, and go, you guys, I don't know what we're going to do. Cause I was like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? I'm like, I don't know, but all I know is I'm tired. And so I'm
Yeah.
dealing with these conversations, mom's crying, not knowing what they're going to do. And then in the back of my head, I'm like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
I
Really.
didn't know what I was going to do, right? And so it was, and and you just got to keep on doing it. and tell you, but I was always about what's that solution? What's the next? What is coming out of this? Because I've always said this, and I always say this to my kids and everything, is the fact that you never can see that beautiful rainbow until you go through a storm.
Exactly.
You just don't wake up one day and be like, oh, there's a rainbow. It's always after a storm. So I was like, I'm
Yes.
going through a storm right now. There's going to be a really beautiful rainbow. Well, that was Carissa. My rainbow was Carissa's post that day. And
Yes.
that's how I look at it. So,
So
mhm.
and it's like it must be God, because that was literally where I was gonna go next, because can you talk about that day, like the infamous cross country dinner story? Because that, man, every time I hear that story, it hits me right between the numbers. And can
Yeah.
you talk a little bit about the cerebral moments that was going on in your head over that 24 to 48 hour period in that
Well,
cross country
it's
dinner
so
story?
my son's a runner and we were hosting the cross country dinner, which we do. We do probably every 3 weeks. We would host it, which means I had 34 kids running in my house, and I would always grab my phone and just take some pictures and load it to the stories. Well, if you know anything about loading Facebook stories, you can't close the app. So I just put
Hmm.
my phone on the counter, let it go, go back to the kids. And like 2 hours later, my granddaughter, who was 3 at that time, hands me my phone. And of course, I'm like, where's she been?
Yeah.
Like, where's she been? And so I grabbed my phone and it was still on Facebook. And you know how
Uh-huh.
you just kind of scrolled a minute, and I did. And it said no MLM, no monthly expenses, 300 daily pay. And and 100% profit. I was like,
Right.
what? And of course, your mind wants to go, it's too good to be true. But then I was in that fact that like I was excited. And I don't remember
Yeah.
last time I was excited. And then I was like, what is this? Because one thing my uncle always taught me. He always said, Michelle, the biggest risk you'll ever take is not taking a risk.
Exactly.
And
I
so
love that.
he does. That's what he's always said. His name was Uncle Lester. He was a very successful rancher. He lived to be 107, and he was ornery as can
Wow.
be. Yeah, ornery as can be. But he said, Michelle, the biggest risk in life is never taking a risk. So if something feels risky, take it. That's how I was raised. I was
Wow.
literally raised that way. Just like when I quit my job to stay home with my kids, everybody thought I was crazy. And I remember my Uncle Lester, no, this is risky. This is what I need to do.
Yep.
It was the best thing I ever did, right? And so that always comes in my mind all the time. And he was in my mind when I had said that, right? And
Hmm.
so I messaged her. I just said, hey, I have one question. I'm really curious. How do we make 100% profit? Put my phone down. That was it. That evening in bed, she had actually replied back and she goes, oh, the company sets up the website for us. So we don't have any tech work, and that's how they make their money. I'm
Hmm.
like, this is too good to be true. Like, how, this is like the perfect thing. I never thought, I mean, it was like, this is so amazing. Like, is this really true? Is this really true? And I remember deciding to not look at it that night because I would have stayed up all night because I'm just that person.
Wow.
So I
Yeah.
messaged her and I said, I'm really interested in this. I said, I'm going to purchase tomorrow because I had to put it into existence.
Yes.
And I literally texted her that. She replied back and she literally said, okay, if you get a delay in getting your digital product, she goes, it's because it's my anniversary. So
Aw.
I remember trying to go to bed that night. I'm laying there, and the next day heading to my son's cross country. It was a battle, right? It was a battle. And my battle was, can I do this? Am I going to have enough time? How long is it going to take? Because I needed money now.
Right.
And so when I heard daily pay, and the thing
Hmm.
that was really like that helped me make the decision is when I seen other people doing it and
Right.
having success. And success was not my definition of success, it was theirs. Because if they're
Right.
celebrating that success, that's success. And I was like, if they can do it, I can do it. But I
Right.
had the battle. I was like, but I didn't think I could. I'd never done anything like this before, and I was really tired from network marketing, but I knew if nothing changed, nothing changed. And then I can hear my uncle,
Yes.
this is a risk. So you need to take it. It's risky. And I took it, and best thing I've ever done in my life. Literally.
Yeah,
Literally.
I 100% agree with that because if you saw, and I'm just barely highlighting this here, but I had a moment hit me. I think it was like maybe 3 weeks ago now, and it wasn't the first income that I made on social media. By no stretch of the imagination. I've been on social media since 2005, and I had been helping businesses in 2019 and beyond. But things changed for me in 2022, 2023. But 3 weeks ago, this moment hit me, and I think that's the one you saw too, where I literally broke down, and I was like, it was a small amount of commission, but at the same time, it was that moment that really hit you, that you spend time learning and mastering and proving out things and teaching it to other people. You're a fellow coach too, so you understand this, is that you go
Mhm.
through and you learn and master and teach these things, but you never really get to take the time and just sit with it and let it marinate and say, you know, wow, I actually got here.
Mhm.
And to be able to say, because one of the things that I love about your story is you talk about this moment and this 2 hour a day process, 2 to 3 hour a day process, and thinking about if you can do it, and telling yourself, if I could just make 54,000 a year. And can you tell us a little bit about that? Like, what were they forecasting, and why did you choose that? What made you think that you couldn't do what they were suggesting, but you went by half? So,
See, and that's the difference of like my mindset to what I see in a lot of people that keeps them from succeeding. And that is instead of, because I didn't see myself making 300 a day. I couldn't see it.
mhm,
And so I had to find that number that was comfortable for me instead of setting in that I could never make 300 a day. And that's why a
right,
lot of people don't make a decision because they can't see themselves making that. So what
right,
if you do half of that?
right,
And that was for me. I was like, well, what if I just do half of it? What if I set a goal to do half of it? That could pay my bills. That could make sure I had everything I need to do. That would get the pressure off. Wouldn't do anything
exactly.
extra, but that would get everything, that I really needed. And so that's where I stayed because I could see
Hmm.
that. And you
Right,
can't receive something without seeing it because you got to see it and believe it to be able to receive it. And there was my head was like
100%.
I couldn't wrap around the 300, but I was
Right,
like I just want to get really really good at learning these skills. I want to treat it like I'm going to college for 2 hours a day. And I literally gave myself 12 months. I was like, if after
right.
12 months, if I can't make 54,000, then I do suck. I literally
Yeah,
told myself that. Not saying that advice is good, but I
exactly.
needed that. But I was like, then my second year goal is going to be 300 a day, which is 109,000 a year. So
Right,
I did try to eat an apple in one bite.
exactly.
I wanted to take baby steps and get my belief and my confidence back. And
Right.
so when my first sale came in, I was like, did I just get lucky? I was like, I don't care. I don't care. I'm in profit mode. I was excited. And then
Yes,
the second sale came in and I was like, is this right? I remember these emotions like it was yesterday. Like I remember those emotions and how I felt that more than I do when I hit a million.
right.
It was the impact of those first ones. I remember when I was like 3 weeks in and I had that one video just get quite a few thousand views on TikTok. And it
Yes.
was just like my phone kept on going ding, ding, ding. And I was afraid to go to bed at night. I was like, I'm going to wake up and this is going to be a dream. I
Yeah.
still couldn't wrap my head around digital marketing and the fact that, we can market to people all over the world. I couldn't wrap my head around it. And I
Yeah.
just, it was so bizarre to me. And I was like, I don't want to go to bed. What if I wake up and all this was a dream?
It makes me think of that song from Aerosmith.
It was,
I
I was literally, yep. And so,
Yeah, that don't want to miss a thing. So yeah, that is so much a thing, because you go through these emotions where you're like, okay, so that can't be real, right? And I know other people that are looking at digital marketing, and And make no mistake, guys, like I say all the time, in my content, digital marketing is how the planet Earth sells anything online, right? So
Mhm.
it's not just courses, it's not just e-commerce, it's not just,
Mhm.
things like templates and things like that. But when you first realize that you get what our mutual friend Dean calls proof of concept, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
You get to understand, like, okay, this proves it works. And
Mhm.
my mentor, one of my mentors back in the day, he used to always say, if you could do something once, you could do it 1,000 times.
Yep.
And that
Yep.
literally stuck with me. And I remember my first moment. And I don't
Mhm.
know, my new customers seem to love Sundays. They seem to love Sunday because it's like whenever, like, Sundays are my family days. So I'm sitting with my kids, sitting with my wife, watching movies, eating popcorn, whatever it is, and we're just hanging out. And I kid you not, like, it has not failed that I would be sitting there, and just like you guys saw what happened with Michelle a few moments ago, it happens. I'm like, but I don't have my phone in my hand. I'm not on my computer. And like when that first moment happened for me, I was just the same way. Like, okay, is this real? And then the
Mhm.
second time, and then the third time, and it's like, okay, so I'm doing something right, right? And then it's like, okay, I gotta establish a pattern, right?
Yeah.
Because I gotta figure this out to figure out how we're gonna figure, like, this is the process, right? And this
Yeah.
is the segue in where I will bring up the community because um I just can't say enough about the community because um and guys, for those of y'all that don't have the background and don't have um the understanding about what the digital growth community is, you
Mhm.
know I want you to talk about why you decided to create the community, and not
Okay.
just the support, but
Yeah.
what was in your head when you decided, hey, make this move.
Yeah. First of all, I got to share something with you because when you said that about watching TV and getting a customer, I don't know what it is about Costco's. But many of us in the community, when we go to Costco's, we make $600. And it's so funny because my son, he always says, how's sales going today? I'm like, they're going good. And I said, he goes, are you making more today than you did yesterday? I'm like, oh, I'm a little behind. He goes, you need to go to Costco's, mom.
You know?
You'll get a sell. So it's always, we literally have a different emotion when we say Costco's in my house because it always equals
Yeah,
money, not spending money, but making money.
yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah, so
Wow.
when I started doing this, and it was working, and I was
Yeah.
like, I think I'm onto something. Like, I think this is really going to work. And so I'm not the in the moment person. I'm in the
Hmm.
6 months, in a year, in 6 years person. And I'm like, man, I've seen so many people buy a product or a program and they can't be part of something. And I was like, how can I make sure people are part of something? So I actually started with doing Zooms. I just
Right.
emailed them and I'm like, hey, let's jump on a Zoom together. And people showed up.
Right.
I was like, wow. And so we started doing weekly Zooms. And I had no idea what I was doing. I just was like, you know what? I'm gonna put my big girl pants on and I'm just gonna do this
Hmm.
because I don't want people, I don't want people to buy from me and just not have a place to go, kind of like that safe place. And I
Right.
made a comment on one of the Zooms one time, and I literally just said, hey, what if I created a community and we could all, work together, celebrate each other, and get to know each other better? It was 100% yes. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And I knew I didn't want to do it in Facebook because, your account can get hacked and just so many crazy things can happen, and you never know what's going to
Right.
happen.
Exactly.
And so that's when I decided to do it in school, and I loved everything about the platform. And so I created the group with just an intention of just for people to really get to know each other better. And then what happened though is the more I started learning about digital marketing, the more I seen the gaps in the products that I was promoting. And I
Right.
was like, I'm going to fill the gaps. And so I started adding that into the classroom. And
Yes.
that's kind of what I did. And I just was like, I just had a vision in December of 2022 because I seen how the growth and the momentum was going. And I knew if I could put training in the classroom that filled the gaps, and if we could start doing webinars, which we started out a once a month webinar, and if we could
Yeah.
start doing that where
Wow.
all month people could build an email list and then you invite people to the webinar, we can all together reach our goals. And I was like, we can put 1,000 people in the community. And I just knew if we
Hmm.
put 1,000 people, there would be many making 4, 5, and 6 figures. And then
Yes.
of course, we ended up hitting 1,000 on May 22nd. And then
Yes.
you're like, let's go
And
for 10. And I'm like, 10? 10? Because I couldn't see it, right?
yeah,
And but that again is the power of community
exactly.
because you got to be part of people's vision. And everybody has a different vision because we all have limiting beliefs in some area in our life. So if people think they can be in their own office, their own living room, and change their life on their own, it don't happen. And
100%.
that's people's problem. They think because you invested in something, it's going to make you all this money. Or I
Yep.
invested in programs and my life is going to change. No, no, no. It's going to change because you're part of something.
Yes.
Because it's that treadmill moment.
Yes.
That's what I call it, the treadmill moment, right? And what I mean by that is I bought a treadmill in November of 2022 with every intention of getting on it for 3 miles a day, which would have taken me walking it about 45 minutes, right? I was like, I can do that. Like
Right.
I still have how many more hours in my day? And I was so
Definitely.
excited and I got on the treadmill for 3 days solid every day and I felt great. Then we went away because my son, for one of his races, and came
Right.
back. And I was actually in the car thinking about getting on the treadmill. And I got back, I'm like, oh, I need to put my clothes away. Oh, I need to do laundry. And then the next day was my granddaughter. And I came
Wow.
up with all these excuses. And it was really weird because I would lay in bed at night and going, what the heck? Like, you want to get on the treadmill. Why aren't you motivated anymore? That emotion
Yeah.
is gone.
Yeah.
That's the power of that emotion. And you can keep that emotion at peak performance and you can keep that high when you're part of something.
Yeah.
And I was
Definitely.
like, man, I know if the moment I would have bought that treadmill, I know for a fact, if I would have been part of a community and had accountability partner, I would have still got on that treadmill every day. And so
Yes.
this was the same time I was working on creating my community. And I was like, I want to make sure people never have that treadmill moment. I want to make sure they can, keep that emotion high, get their questions answered, feel heard, feel validated. And my other fear was I was getting customers all over the world. I was like, I don't want somebody in South Africa to email me at 1 o'clock in the morning and I can't email them back until maybe 11 o'clock the next morning. I said, so what if I had
Right.
a community that they can ask that question to get that question answered immediately so they can execute?
Yes.
And that was kind of how it started.
That's kind of how it's, yeah. So, the one thing I want people to really get context here with is how much of an introvert you are. Because we've been sitting here probably for about 30 minutes talking, and none of you could have probably guessed that she is a powerful introvert. So can you talk about that dichotomy? Because and we're gonna touch on Dallas here for a little bit because that kind of highlights the kind of two versions of Michelle that we get to see every now and again. But can you tell everyone like what those moments are like for you being an introvert and doing what you're doing now? Like, can you talk a
Well, I
little bit
mean,
about that?
like I don't like being in crowds at all, right? It's just
Mhm.
it's just very awkward for me, except if it's at a football game because nobody cares, right? Nobody's paying attention to you. Like they're paying attention
Right.
to the game, right? So you can be like this anyway. And I mean, I can tell you, I don't I don't go to family reunions. I don't go to my class reunions. I don't go to nothing. It's not me. And if I do have to be around people for a while, my family always laughs. They're like, well, we won't hear from Michelle for like 4 months because that was too peoply for her. And which is all the truth, right? And so, yeah, I am an introvert. So then people are like, well, then how can you go live or how can you, talk here or how can you do this stuff? I'm like, because I'm just having a conversation with you.
Hmm.
It's just me and you. And that's how I've been able to do it because I'm like, man, I do truly care about helping families make that impact because I know what it's like to not have things. I know what it's like to figure out how am I going to pay these medical bills. I know it, and it's the worst feeling in the world. And if I can help other people never have that kind of feeling, then let's go. But I just am having a conversation with one person. So when I create a
Okay.
video, it's just me and my perfect customer. When I go live, it's just me and my perfect customer. But
Yeah.
it is funny though, when we are out and about, like my son's a runner, and we were in South Dakota, and I went in the lobby and found some good light to create my videos. And my
Yeah.
son and his friend Logan and his dad Corey walked by. He's like, Landon, what's your mom doing? Because he knows how quiet I am. And I
Right.
heard him and I was like, oh man, I'm gonna make him fall out, freak out here. And I said, I'm creating my TikTok videos. He's like, TikTok? You're on TikTok? He was blown away
Yeah.
because, well, for one, that he never seen me on TikTok because he didn't understand the algorithms, but for two, that I actually could do that because he knows what an introvert I am.
Yes.
And so, yeah.
That's
So,
that's amazing because, like a lot of people, especially like I'm gonna be 41 this month, and I never thought that I would ever be on TikTok whatsoever. I avoided TikTok like the Black Plague. And now I love TikTok because and people I know people are going like, yeah, you're 41 years old and you're on TikTok. Absolutely, because I was like, there is no way I'm getting on a dancing platform. I can't dance, I'm disabled. And I can't I just can't do it. I can't see myself doing it. I'm a serious business owner. And how many people listening right now have that mindset? Like there is
mhm.
no way like I'm getting on TikTok of all places to promote my business. But guys, it's literally one of the best decisions I've made. And
Oh,
at the time,
absolutely.
yeah, and at
Yeah.
the time that I made that decision, it couldn't have been a moment too soon because I ended up having a hiccup in my own business where I lost like 35% of it because of what you mentioned earlier, getting hacked, right? But
Yeah.
I am so glad that we can have platforms like TikTok because it's
Mhm.
unlike it's unlike a lot of the platforms out there in the way the algorithm works. And guys, I've talked about this at length in my content, right? But the thing that I love about it is it gives everyone a legit and level playing field because like you mentioned, your son's friend's dad, like his For You page will definitely look different to yours or mine, right?
Mhm.
And that
Mhm.
plays into how we train people here, right? And because a lot of what we assumed about the platform isn't what it is. And I mean, I know you can definitely vouch for that because you talk about this all the time about going into digital product and seeing, TikTok in there and how funny that was. And every time you tell that story, I crack up because I felt like that too.
Yes. Yes.
So, the awesome thing is that, you have gotten to do so much because you have started this community. And not just that you've done so much, but which we are all deeply grateful for. Um, but also the lives you've changed, right? And
Mhm.
it goes without saying that I am in that category as well, right?
Yeah.
That because of the decision you made in 2022, and I shared this on the webinar that we just had recently, that how that affected my life. But for those people who are watching this, can you kind of share with them what you would say if they're still on the fence about social media and learning digital marketing, being an introvert, being someone who nobody would have thought would get on social media, but you've done what you've done.
It's so funny that you say that because if we are ever around people, um, and then they find out I'm on TikTok, they are like shocked. Like I need to get the look on somebody's face when like they hear that
Yeah.
I'm on TikTok, right? They're like, "You dance on TikTok?" And I'm like, "No, no, 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 I don't dance on TikTok." They're even like blown away because they know, what an introvert I am. But only thing I would say is the fact that I always think when people are hesitant to do something or don't think they want to do something, it's that Blockbuster moment. Blockbuster had the most thriving video stores where people could go in there, buy videos, right? And then they could go home and
Exactly.
watch the videos, return it the next day. Like they had a good business. And then Redbox is like, no, 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 we need to provide more convenience.
Yes.
And we need to allow people to go drive up to Walgreens and be able to get their Redbox outside. Well, Blockbuster's like, oh, nobody's ever going to do that. They love coming in here. And they wouldn't take part in this, right? Because they had the
Yeah.
ability to be part of Redbox and do this with them. And then what
Yes.
happened? Redbox is still around and Blockbuster's
Mm-hmm.
gone because what happened is, and the next thing that happened, and that was, oh, wait, why should we have people have to sit outside in the cold, in the wind to get a video? Why don't we just do it online? Then
Online.
Netflix came, right?
Yep.
Still red boxes are around. There's a heck of a lot more red boxes around, right? And there's no blockbusters
Yes.
anymore. And so I tell people all the time, I'm like, the moment you are afraid to go after what's working now, you're having your blockbuster moment. And all you're doing is
Mm.
break your family. You're going to bankrupt your family because you are so stubborn to pivot where the world is pivoting. And
Exactly.
anybody can learn this. And I was not going to have a blockbuster moment. I was like, I will put my big girl pants on. I will go on TikTok. I don't care because the people judging me or my fear is not going to pay the bills. There's no money in that emotion. I'm going to go where people are going. I'm going to go where people are comfortable. That's what just shocks me about what TikTok has been able to provide. Because if you look at the foundation that TikTok did, they started with the dancing and the comedy and getting people safe there. And then all of a sudden they're like, ooh, let's now open it up to TikTok shops and to businesses. And people have
Yes.
already felt safe on the platform. So
Mm-hmm.
people don't just look at you, they look at, oh, I bought from a gal on TikTok. TikTok branded people feeling safe. That's why it's so easy to get a customer on TikTok now. They did the work for us. People just don't get the power of that. They
Yes.
really did. So people can
Absolutely.
have a blockbuster moment and bankrupt their family, or they can pivot and just take uncomfortable action, but it's worth it.
Yeah. Because
Mm-hmm.
and it's so funny that you say that because I talk about this all the time. 150 million active users. We're not talking passive users. Like they use the platform today, they may not use it till next week. No, we're talking
Mm-hmm.
about people that are on every single day.
Yeah.
And that we have the ability here to literally program the algorithms because guys, they're machines, right? And because of what we teach here, right? Because of the skill set that you get to have here, you get to learn how to program these machines to
Yeah.
literally go get your customers. Because
Mm-hmm.
you understand this all too well, Michelle, being in network marketing. We used to be list building. We used to be making phone calls. We used to be sending emails and DMs and all
Mm-hmm.
because I had been trying to convince my latest network marketing deal, the network marketing company, about getting on social media, and I literally did it where I did get in touch with well, a friend got in touch with me, which was crazy to me. A friend got in touch with me, and he was like, "Hey, well, I'm gonna be here. I see you've been doing something. What are you doing?"
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I
Mm-hmm.
talked about this in my last live stream on TikTok, where I talked about the "I'm so glad you asked." Because
Mm-hmm.
when he told me, he was like, dude, I don't know what you're doing, but what is it? What are you doing? And I
Mm-hmm.
told him, and I said, okay, so this is what we're about. This is what we do. This is how I help people.
Mm-hmm.
we're having an event at such and such a place. I would love it if you come. And he was like, well, bet I'll be there because, we've known each other for years and things like that. Right. He was still a friend, but he came through. And I literally went to my upline and I was like, we need to seriously think about social media
Mm-hmm.
because look at what just happened. And I was literally pointing at the guy. I was like, he's here. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't reach out to him. He reached out to me. And now
Mm-hmm.
he's here, him and his wife. Right. Here they're here now, but they took a while, and like you mentioned earlier, and this is why I think she said it. So she's not saying that COVID was good, guys. I'm not saying that's not what we mean here. We're just saying that COVID really gave people, as horrible as it was, as
Mm-hmm.
horrible as it was back then, the pandemic gave people and businesses like Zoom an opportunity. Because if you think about it like this, Skype, Skype had been in existence. Skype had been out there. But how did that period in time really transform what Zoom was be able to do and take Skype's lunch? And
Right.
now
Yep,
Zoom is how
exactly.
we have meetings, right? And obviously
Mhm.
there's other platforms, but social media is not going anywhere. Online
Oh,
is
if
not
you
about to
if you
go
would have bought
anywhere.
stock in Zoom, you'd be a millionaire today.
Yes, 100%.
And that's
So
what I'm
like,
saying. I'm like,
go ahead.
this is the part of that we talk about. Like, like nobody told me this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why, if I would have had different types of skills, I would have known when COVID hit that I need to be buying stock in COVID. I mean, stock in Zoom, right?
Yes.
You can't know good without bad. You can't know great without good, and you can't know excellent without great, right? And it's like, it's just the parts that you go through. But to me, what COVID did was it just opened up the power of online even more.
Yeah, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And now, with the advent of things like AI and that being integrated into social media, things like Chat GPT, all the buzzwords and all the things that are being birthed, all these tools that are being birthed and giving people this opportunity to do things that more convenient. Because I hear people say this all the time, like AI is going to take people's jobs. And we almost fell victim to that, where we said, okay, well, what are we going to do now, and all this kind of stuff. But literally inside the community, you've done so many trainings about things like Chat GPT and how important it is for you to have a strong hook and all these different things. So how would you say, as a creator that has this vision of helping people, how have you handled that fear that people have of with the advent of
Well,
AI and stuff like that?
okay, I can just, it's really easy. If that's the case, then why would we do a live training and have anywhere from 200 to 400 people on? Because they
I love
need
that.
that interaction. They need the human touch. There's no emotion in AI. So people cannot get on with AI and continue to ask AI questions over and over again to get the answer. AI will just be a robot with questions. And the money's made. And when you can, the money's, people don't buy because of people's product. They buy because of the emotion they feel, and they buy the product. You can't get that from AI.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. And that's why, and guys, y'all know me, man. When I'm on my live streams, I say this almost every live stream. People don't buy products and services, they buy the people selling
Mhm.
them.
Mhm.
So it's not about the tools that you have. It's not about the ninja trick, because I see so many people, especially in people that want to either make money online or teach people how to make money online. We're so focused on the tools. We're focused on, and I love how you put this last year, selling the plane. And we're
Mhm.
not talking about the emotion, like what are you getting from this?
Mhm.
And it's unfortunate that a lot of business owners a lot of people that are coming into these industries, they're not really looking at the fact that what are you really selling? And this is where I want to talk about the concept of the hope dealer. Because I remember getting on some of your live streams and you were literally, guys, she was literally wearing a t-shirt that says hope dealer. And I was
Yeah.
halfway hoping you would wear that shirt today because
Yeah.
that is such a powerful concept. But can you talk a little bit about your mindset about that?
Well, I mean, it's people do business with people they know, like, and trust, right? And so if people go out there, and this is the other thing, the internet has made us more educated and more smarter. Like, people don't want to be sold anymore. They want to have so much value delivered to them, and they'll decide if they're going to buy. And that value needs to be attached with, like you said, storytelling and that emotion. And so to me, it was so important to me that I knew where I wanted to go and how I was going to get there. And that included, I have to take people with me because
Yes,
customers, like, every business exists because of customers. People call them, buyers, patients, whatever, they're customers. And so I was like, okay, if you want to make 300 a day, then you need to impact 31 lives a month. And so
exactly.
then that's how I became the hope dealer. And I had the goal. I was like, hey, I'm going to change 365 families' lives in 2023, right? I mean, that was like, that's what I would think. It was never about the money, it was the people. And all I could think about is the days I was tired, the days I didn't want to do anything. I was like, no, 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 no. Maybe this is the moment. Maybe this is my Carissa moment
Yes,
that I make that video and I impact somebody's life today because she completely changed my life. I mean, think about it. What if I
exactly.
wouldn't have showed up that day on my live and Amy would never discovered it?
I know. I
What if I wouldn't have
know.
made that video that day that Tim discovered?
Yeah,
Those stories I think about that every day. And it's like every day I think about that. And that's why I'm like, you know what? I'm just an hope dealer. I hope today
yeah,
some I hope today somebody sees a different perspective. I hope today somebody sees that they too can learn these skills to make daily pay. I hope. That's all I care about. I don't ever
yeah,
push anything on anybody. Nobody can even find my website. They have to
yeah,
believe enough in me to get into my automations to even discover my website. And because they're never going to buy from me if they don't believe in me. And they're never going to
fact,
give me my email, give me their email if they don't believe in me. But if they believe in me, they'll give me their email. And if they love what they hear inside, they'll buy from me. And that's all I care
exactly,
about. Mhm.
exactly. And I just, again, I know I tell you this so many different times, but as I end all of my appearances on the webinars that you host, whenever you let me be a guest on there, I always end it the same way, right? It's never
Mhm.
about you making a decision. And everybody has that story, right?
Mhm.
Where they found you or they found me. But I thought about that first day in the community and the conversation I had with my mentor about this. And he was so excited about you and what you had going. And if you had not done that,
Mhm.
my life would have been very different today. And because of him and you, I have now, well, at the time of the recording of this video, who knows what it's going to be tomorrow, right? Literally 22 income streams.
Wow. Yeah.
Like, that is utterly life changing.
Yes.
And, and more so than the money, you know, being able to have the choice to be
Mhm.
in my office with a friend, doing something that we both love to do. And I could just get up, like if something, God forbid, something happened and I needed to leave, I could just stop what I'm doing and go take care of what I have to. It's
Yes.
the freedom. It's never about the money
Mhm.
because we talk a lot about the possibility of income and the possibility about being able to be financially independent and the 109 or the 219 or now coming here soon, it'll be 325, right? But it's more than that. It's
Hmm.
about the choice that we give people. So it's not about us making a decision, but the people that will make the decision because we did,
Hmm.
right? It's about the people waiting on us. And I want you just to share with the listening and viewing audience where the membership of the community right now is. Because
9,900.
and that's wow. We're literally on the eve of seeing the digital growth community hit 10,000 members
Yep. So awesome. Yeah.
in just about 17, was it 17, 18 months?
Mm-mm. This
Less than
November,
that?
December, January, February. So yeah,
November.
yeah, 15 months.
15 months. So less, a little bit over than a year,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And that is such a powerful thing. But think about how many more lives exponentially we're going to be able to impact because we continue to do this.
Oh yeah.
And I want to kind of land a plane here where we talk about what would you say? Like I asked this question to all my guests on the Freedom Friday podcast and do the entrepreneur spotlight. Not just what would you say to yourself in 2022, but also it's like a twofold. So what would you say to yourself back then? And what would you say to yourself looking at Michelle in 2025? What would you say to yourself today? Knowing the goals you have, knowing the trajectory you intend to go. Can you answer those two questions for me?
Now the first question, what would I say to myself in 2022?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say anything different. I honestly wouldn't, because I knew that I wasn't going to stay where I was. I
Yeah.
knew I was open, right? I was disappointed in myself. I was scared, but I was open. I
Mm-hmm.
was open. So there's really nothing because I was ready. I was ready. I just knew it wasn't going to be network marketing, right? But I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
was, there's nothing because I was managing my mind and I was like, I'm not going to stay and I'm not going to be the victim of my circumstances. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm just going to find something new. And so because of that was why I saw this, I was like, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, but um what I would say to myself in 2025,
All
look
right.
at all the
No,
lives. I don't know.
go
I mean,
ahead.
I don't know. Look at all the lives you've impacted. I mean, because there'll be thousands of lives that will be impacted in 2025.
Yes. Yes.
Hmm.
And so I wanted you to share just a little bit more about what what the vision is within the next 6 months for what you're doing now. And, obviously the final question would be, just to talk to the audience here about if they're still thinking about making a life change and doing something like this, what would you say to them? So let's do the expectations for the next 6 months and then we'll do that last one.
Well, I don't have any expectations at all. I just know, for the community, I don't, for me, it's just my expectation of myself inside the community is I just want to get better as a mentor and as a business coach inside of there to be able to help people go from launch to profit in 7 days. And I will just work on that and work on that until it's done. And I get that's not everybody's goal, but for the people that
Right.
have that goal and are willing to learn it, that's really what I'm really wanting to do because my goal is to create 1,000 six-figure income earners. And I just know the more people that can go to launch to profit in 7 days will build their belief. And the more their belief is built, the more confidence they'll have. And the more, and then the more that they will definitely take action. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of that goal. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So, oh, and we didn't even get to touch on this, but it's so crazy to be able to have sat with you before all of these life-changing things happen. And you did, I think you talked about before, I think 150,000 in 6 months. Was that the number? It was over six figures in 6 months, right?
154,000, yeah, in 6 months.
154,000. And as we sit today, well, this is obviously if you feel comfortable to share this, but today, where are you sitting? Not exactly, but you
Well, 1,140,000
know.
in
Okay.
17 and a half months. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It didn't have to be,
1.1 million. Yeah.
and that, like, and to be clear, like, I didn't, it wasn't about the specific number, but just the growth, right? Just the growth of what things have been like in such a short time
Well,
because of
it's
all
so
this.
interesting because, I always, people are like, oh, people think money is full. And it's like, no, no, money is the
Right.
byproduct for everything that you have. When I sat
Hmm.
and listened to my kids talk about all the travel and all the things that we've been able to do, it was about the memories.
Yes.
Nobody talked about the money. It was the memories,
Yes.
but the money gets you those memories. It is a vehicle to have those memories, right? And one of the things that I wanted to do, because I was actually raised that whatever your parents did, they're going to leave a legacy for you, and you have the pressure on you to pursue that legacy that they want for you, instead of, what do you want? I want to fuel, I want to be the I want to be the funding for your freedom, your goals. And so that's something I've always dreamed of doing. I never thought it'd be possible for me though. I was like, I would love to be able to leave a legacy for my kids off of what they want in life.
Yes.
And so,
Absolutely.
you know, um, I have a really good accountant. And like he'll always email me and tell me I need to go buy something. And he literally was like, man, you are getting like massive growth. He goes, you need to start investing and
Right.
properties and things like that. And I
Right.
just, bought this hair salon because I was watching my daughter make 37% commission. And they don't even do marketing at her salon. And I'm like, this is
Right.
ridiculous. He said, I'm going to buy a salon. You're going to make 100%. We're going to do hybrid. Well, I'm going to have booth rentals and I'm going to have employees and I'm going to market like crazy. And it's
Yeah.
really cool. I'm only sharing that with you because we've been working down here every single night, and all of my kids that live local have been here,
Yes.
and I've never asked one of them to help. And I'm
Wow.
only sharing that with you because they are part of this. What they're learning and what my grandchildren are learning, that when you never have to settle, no matter
Yes.
what circumstances you're in life, whatever hiccups or roadblocks, you can't let that define you. And you can keep on moving forward. And I've never seen my daughter so excited. And it's like, I'm
Mm.
like, man, if people realize it's not about the money, it's literally about the freedom that you can feel. Because I literally looked at it this way. When I decided to purchase this blueprint on September 10th of 2022, I remember getting my credit card out and I remember paying. And I remember saying to myself, I am not writing another chapter in this book of life. I am literally going to create a new book. And this book, I am going to make in a century from now, when my great great grandchildren read this book, they're going to be like, wow, our great great grandma was awesome. All the
Mm.
adversity and everything in life, she didn't let none of that to define her. And she just went after it and she left us a legacy. And it's like, I think about that every day. There's not a day that goes by when I make a decision. Is this in the book I want my children to be proud of, or is this in the book I want to burn?
Yeah.
And it's like, when you look at things that way, because we are in such a microwave society right now, where we get impatient that it takes a minute and 20 seconds to heat up popcorn. And it's
Mm.
like, what if we literally just decided to design our life? And instead of just living
Awesome.
in the moment, what if we live for our future, our freedom, right? Like if I go back to like 2025, like you said, man, I see the fact that, I've got my daughter's business going. I see the fact that I've invested into property and we've either become Airbnbs or we flipped a property. I see that I've invested in a business with my son, because I will create legacies. I will change the generational wealth for my family. And
Yes.
that's what money
Absolutely.
can buy when you have the right vehicle. And I know what I have in digital marketing is the right vehicle. And I just love that so much.
And
So that,
I love how you put that. that digital marketing is the vehicle to get you to leave that legacy because that's what it's about.
Hmm.
And I'm the type of person that, because people ask me all the time, like, okay, so how much have you done? And the reason I rarely ever get that happening is because the way I position myself and the way I position my business is I'm here to teach you. I'm here to give you access to that vehicle to
Hmm.
get you to where you want to go. And I
Yeah.
love where you share, like, if you're going from where you are to California, you can't really get to where you want to go if you're just looking in the rear view,
Can't get
right?
anywhere. Yeah.
Exactly. And
And
so, you know, digital marketing has been the vehicle for so many of us
hmm.
across the globe, really.
Hmm.
And again, I just have to say thank you for opening up the door for me to be a blessing to people around this globe. And just like I'm so floored and I'm so grateful to God for the opportunity every time you tap on my shoulder and you're like, I need you to have the ball.
Hmm.
I need you to have the ball.
Hmm.
And I'm very grateful for everything you've done so far. And I want to thank you for being here today and, just taking the opportunity to share a little bit of your heart and your time, which is the most valuable asset you have. And guys, I really have to say this, especially for those of you who are longtime listeners and watchers, she is literally my first millionaire guest. So that is
And I'm just a mom.
amazing. Yes, and she's just a mom of six kids and five grandchildren. So she is busy as it is before business, right? And doing so many things. But I also want to let you know because we have known each other for quite some time. I just want to let you know and say this publicly to you. I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
I'm
Thank
so
you.
proud of the individual you continue to be and everything you continue to persist through because I know some of the rough spots that you've experienced, in this last, 17 months, right? But you keep pushing forward. And that's the impression that I want to leave this with is that your unrelenting passion to change
Mhm.
people's lives. And thank you for taking the opportunity to be so purposeful and so intentional about changing people's lives.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. And I just know how I've felt in life in many different circumstances. And if I can help thousands of families not have to go through that, then that's why I'm glad I'm here. There's a reason I'm supposed to
Awesome.
be doing this. So,
Yes, God definitely has a purpose for you
mhm.
doing what you do. And I
Yes.
pray He continues to bless you and your business and your family because you have such a wonderful family.
Oh, thank
And, again, you're always welcome on the podcast. I would love to have you back. It's
you.
always a privilege to get to sit and talk with you. And definitely, we got to do this again because I literally take notes every time I watch your lives and just get a chance to glean from you. So, it's been a huge blessing today. And I hope it's been that way for you too. Um, it's been an honor. So thank you so much, Michelle. Can
And
you
thank
tell
you.
people where to find you?
No, I just want to tell you, Nicholas, it's been an honor. I've learned so much from you, and you bring so much value to the community. And I love the integrity you have and the standards you have. And I'm just want you to know I'm so very grateful for you. Yep.
Thank you. Thank
Mhm.
you. That's an honor. That's an honor to hear that. So it means the world to me to hear you say that. So thank you for sharing that with me and
Yes.
for allowing me to be a part of your journey as well. So, you know, so tell people where to find you before we close off here.
I mean, I'm everywhere.
I mean,
I'm on
yeah,
TikTok, but
she,
you better get to the right Michelle O'Deal. on TikTok. I am verified on Instagram, so you do know 1000% you're talking to me on Instagram. So
Yes, yes. So, it's true. It's a wild game out there, but definitely she is everywhere because she's been rocking it on social media. So, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with us today. It is always the goal for me to bring you guys value. And it's literally why I call myself Mr. Millionaire Insight, because as you've seen today, literal insight for millionaires. So that's what we do here. That's how we grow here. And it is my intention to help as many people on this planet, 10,000 in the next 12 months, to be able to find their God given purpose. But thank you guys for hanging out with us today. And we will definitely see you on the next one. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe where you need to. And follow me at Mr. Millionaire Insight so you can get more value. But until next time, guys, live life, love God. See you when I see you.